In a world where one woman tries to start a podcast,
How will I ever do this on my own?
she thought she would have to get expensive equipment.
What? I can do all of this on a free app?
She thought she would have to find creation tools all over the internet.
You mean it can all be contained in an app on my phone and computer?
She thought she would have to do all her own distribution.
You mean to tell me this app is going to send it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all those other platforms for me?
She thought she would never make any money.
I don't have to wait for a minimum listenership to monetize?
She thought that she would have to find all kinds of different equipment and pieces.
But I'm going to download this free Anchor app and get started today.
Visit Anchor.fm and download the free Anchor app to be just like her, the ultimate podcaster.
Hello and welcome to the Lou Review. This is your host, Rosa, and I am here today with my new friend, Kim, and she has a very special business that I hate to call it a business because I just feel like it's a gift to humanity. So, you have established this concept of the Hygge gathering. Mm-hmm. And what is this?
So it's a passion.
Okay.
If you want to use another word. Mm-hmm. And thank you, Rosa, for having me today. So the Hygge gathering is based on the Danish idea. It's really a lifestyle of Hygge. Hygge is Hygge.
So it's not about sitting around with a hookah pipe?
No.
Okay. Because that's the first reaction everybody
hookah.
has. Yeah, hookah. Yeah. It's not that. It's Hygge.
So,
okay.
It's a way of life for the Danish people in Denmark. And it's really around three main core principles of coziness, contentment, and meaningful connection. And the coziness piece really comes in as far as setting atmosphere. And you may start seeing, it's fall now, Crate and Barrel or, emails from Pottery Barn about how to Hygge your home.
Oh, and they're in on it now, huh?
Oh, yes, very much. This is how we kind of have Americanized this concept of Hygge, of it's about purchasing cozy blankets and having all the snuggly socks. But really, Hygge is much more than that.
Oh.
And so that's what I focus on at the Hygge gathering. I really want to create moments of togetherness for people. And you can do that in your home. You can do that with friends and family. And it's approaching life with kind of like an openness towards others and inviting them in and belong as one of my favorite writers on Hygge says, belonging to the moment and to each other.
Oh,
it's this idea of kind
I
of
love that.
Yes, of like cozy mindfulness for the soul is what I call it.
That's so sweet. Now, so do you host events? Do you teach classes? What does this look like for you?
Yeah, so I do teach a class about it. I teach it on a platform called Motherly. And so it's a really short class. It's only 30 to 40 minutes, and you can learn how you can Hygge with your own family and really make it part of your lifestyle and share Hygge. And it's really just that posture of welcome and share that with other people. And then I also do local gatherings, as I call them. Some people say, oh, you're an event planner, and I kind of like stiffen because I feel like event can sound so cold or manufactured. And so I say that I plan cozy, intimate gatherings. And really that piece of intentionality comes in again about what a gathering is going to look like, infusing it with really warmth and heart. I really want people, when they come to a Hygge gathering experience, or if I'm doing a private Hygge gathering for someone, I want them to feel taken care of, and I want them to feel like they belong and that they're welcome.
And what do you provide at one of these gatherings that's not an event?
So if it's a private client, meeting with them, finding out what they are either gathering for or celebrating, and then anticipating their needs and really allowing them to feel held and taken care of so that they can then be present with their guests.
So they're not worried about the details.
Exactly.
Things like that. But you arrange, if I'm going to quote Hamilton, you arranged the menu, the venue, the seating.
I love that.
I mean, every time I hear that song now, I think of you. Because you hosted us at a park and set up a whole like picnic for us. I mean, I kind of hate to call it a picnic because it felt so like exquisite and just I want to say exorbitant, but that is not the word that I want. But you had charcuterie set up for us. We had drink options that were there, like all set up in a cooler, and we could like, you know, refill on our own so that we weren't like having a private experience where nobody was like serving us, but it was all there. Yeah. And we were seated out on like these nest cushions, right? Yeah. Was that the brand? I don't know.
They're the Nugget Comfort Couch, and they're actually children's play furniture.
I have some. Did you see my pink one when you came in?
Oh, I did not.
Yes, they were so great for like the kids always want to take apart the couch and build little couch forts or whatever. And so I was like, you know, during COVID when we're all locked up in the house, it's like, here's some extra furniture for your fort, right? But also you can use it as seating. And so we did for that. It was like having those portable couches.
Yeah, you know, the Hygge picnic is, you know, a gathering just outside. And one of the things that I'm very intentional about using is those Nugget Comfort couches. You know, so maybe this is just me trying to think about what the actual experience is, but a lot of picnics, they just do like a simple pillow. And I just think when you're actually sitting there, is that truly comfortable?
Literally no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm approaching 40 and I would say like my typical ideal client is a woman that's somewhere in her later 20s, you know, all the way through mid 40s. And, you know, you just kind of, you want to feel like you're not thinking about, oh man, this is not comfortable. And so that's
also, how am I going to get up?
Yes.
What kind of position am I going to have to get in order to get up safely?
Yeah. So I started actually with knowing that the Hygge picnic was going to have the nuggets as a feature item because I really wanted my guests to feel comfortable. And it, you know, have pillows and they can really like adjust that so that they can focus on really enjoying the moment and the people that they're gathered with.
Yes. So. And you did that for us. It was so special. And we talked for a couple of hours and until it got dark and it was so idyllic. And there were even fireflies that came out. Oh, so it was perfect. I think it was like the spring. So it was like some of the first fireflies of summer. Yeah. So that was special. But you also do indoor events.
Yes.
Gatherings.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about those.
So, we actually, I wanted to share with you today, we have a dinner experience coming up. We're doing one of our first Hygge gathering dinner gatherings. I just said gathering twice. Sorry.
I feel like it's your word.
I
it's
know.
Very on brand for you. You should probably be used to saying it a lot.
Yeah. And so we're doing our first dinner experience. I have actually wanted to do this from the beginning.
Yeah.
And you know, we went through a time of social distancing and so now this is really a season to savor togetherness. And I have partnered with Allison Suttles. She used to be the executive chef over at Barn 8 and she's actually nominated for a James Beard Award this year. And so she is truly, I would say, a culinary expert.
Yeah.
And she also, she sources her ingredients local, and so this is going to be really fresh, seasonal harvest menu, and we're going to be doing it at the Butcher Rose, which is a somewhat new event space. It's a bed and breakfast,
the Butcher Rose.
Really beautiful inside, and may have a few surprises in store. So,
Wow.
but yeah, it's going to be a great experience. And, you know, I tell some of my friends, have you ever seen the movie Dinner for Schmucks? About how
I guess that needs to go. Does
it's
that,
not going
does that need to go on my list? I don't know. I'm
You
not
might.
smart, so.
But it's this kind of hilarious dinner gathering.
Okay.
And I think it's Steve Carell that's in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which you know it's going to be funny.
Yep.
But he curates this dinner gathering. And so even down to, I try to think of, it's not going to be like Dinner for Schmucks, by the way. If you have seen the movie.
It'll be the antithesis of Dinner for Schmucks.
But it is going to be curated with it, you know, where you're seated. It's going to be clustered. You know, they say...
And it's not just for women only, this event, right?
No,
Yeah.
this one's not for women only. It's primarily what I do, focus on women connecting, but this one's actually going to be open to, you know, more than just women. But,
I don't know. I'm sorry. I distracted you. I'm
no,
sorry.
you're fine. I had it and then I lost it. This
Yeah.
is what kids do
It'll
to
be
you.
the opposite of Dinner for Schmucks.
Yes.
Yes. Dinner
So-
for classy people.
If you've ever read, so the most popular book about Hygge is called The Little Book of Hygge
Oh.
by Mike Viking, and he says that the perfect size Hygge gathering is 3 to 4 people.
Okay.
And so the dinner experience is going to be seated in smaller clusters,
Okay.
so that you can really get a chance, if you're coming by yourself, that you can get a chance to converse with someone new. If you're coming with other friends, it's still going to be kept kind of that cozy, intimate experience.
Oh, and at ours, you had like conversation cards. So is there going to be something like that?
There's going to be some guided, but not cheesy conversation pieces. And, you know, one of the things that I suggest to folks when they're coming to a Hygge gathering is 2 things. Don't talk about where you went to school, and don't talk about what you do professionally.
Yeah.
And I learned this from a retreat experience I went on a few years ago. And what I found, that was one of their, you know, rules, is that don't talk about what you do for a living. And when we sit down, sometimes with new people, that can be something that we fall into naturally. But what science has shown is that can put up blocks and barriers for people to really be able to connect, because we're doing 2 things. We're either deciding what category someone is going to fit in our brains, like how we're going to box them in, or they're doing it to us. They're saying, oh, I'm trying to size this person up. And so
You don't fit in my estimation of somebody that would understand me.
yes, or someone that I would not normally talk to. And I have to tell you, when I experienced this myself, that immersive you know, real hands-on, not talking about that, you can feel, you know, almost like your heart opening up to really connect in more meaningful ways with folks when you focus on other parts of things to share about yourself and things to be curious about them. And so actually that's going to be one of my rules for the evening.
Yeah, that's probably really good. I'm a nurse, and nurse conversations have a very distinct flavor, and that does not usually appeal to people who are not nurses at a dinner table.
Yeah.
So,
and that's not the whole of who you are. There's so much more.
In my case, I feel like I strongly identify as a nurse, but however, I see what you're saying, because if that's what the conversation's about and somebody doesn't like understand medical terminology or have that frame of reference, then that would definitely be a barrier to us forming a more deep relationship.
It's true.
And some of my best friends share the occupation, but then others of them don't, and we don't talk about work very much, and if we do, then it doesn't build the connection between us, because it's not something we have in common, right? So it's great to just say, okay, this is not your typical conversation. Like you said, in Louisville, everybody asks, what high school did you go to?
It's finding ways to relational intimacy. And before we lived here, my husband and I actually met in the Washington, D.C. area. And that's where I went to undergrad. That's, I'm talking about, don't talk about where you went to school. But I started my professional career there. And being in that DC bubble, the first thing people ask you there is actually, who do you work for? And then it's, where did you go to school? And school, they mean like college. Yeah. And it is truly there a sizing up of will you be advantageous to me? Is there advantage to knowing you?
Or will there be a detraction to associating with you? Are you part of my group?
Yes. Yeah.
Or are you someone that I don't want to be seen with?
It's true. Yeah. Or exactly. Yeah. Are you going to, it's kind of like this idea that a lot of people have been talking about lately of othering people.
Yes.
Of, kind of putting up these walls. And so in Hygge, we're all about this idea of how do I want to say it, equality of
leveling the playing field.
Yeah, like an egalitarian approach of we're all the same, everybody has value, everyone has belonging. And so I really try to embody that with these experiences and hope that everyone feels like they have a seat at the table, that they're welcome, that they are invited to show up how they are, and to truly savor the moment.
Yeah, that is so important. And we have done things together with the Louisville Women Connect group, that is a Facebook group that I'm part of. And one of our rules is we don't talk about religion or politics in any kind of argumentative way, or have events around topics that are controversial, because the purpose of the group is that connection. And if you are saying, okay, well, do you believe and agree with me on these tenets of my opinion, right? And if you don't, I don't want anything to do with you. Well, let me tell you something. When I moved to Louisville, I thought I had found my tribe, because I found a bunch of people that agreed with me on the tenets of faith that I thought were pivotal. So, and then in COVID, none of those people were part of our lives, and we didn't miss them. Sure, we agreed with ideals, but we didn't have that connection of doing life together. We didn't care about each other really as people. And some of my best friends that I developed over that time were people I disagreed with. We had better, deeper conversations, and we recognized each other's humanity and valued each other as people. So it didn't even matter that we disagreed, or we could respect each other's reasons for disagreeing, and that it came from how we were raised, or our exposure to things up until that point, and we were able to share our experiences and kind of find some middle ground. And you can't do that if you just are like, oh no, they don't agree with me, so they don't deserve my time. And so I think creating this space for connection that doesn't allow for those upfront barriers helps you really find who somebody is as a person, and identify their intention. And you're like, oh wait, this is a loving, caring person. So if they think differently about this than I do, maybe they have a reason for that. Let's talk about it, instead of, oh, you're stupid because you don't agree with me. Right?
It's not about how we're different and divided. It's more about what do we have in common. And I love what you said about seeing their humanity, and then them reflecting that back and seeing you as a real person. I think it's sometimes those difficult circumstances where these kind of expose our relationships, and also like our desire for that kind of rich relational community. I went through that myself with depression, and really taking stock of, yes, I agree with these people maybe about these parts of, my beliefs or opinions, but are we deeply connected? And sometimes that answer is no.
And that's sad.
And
because you think, oh, we should be connected. We should be.
Isn't that always a tricky word?
Yeah.
Should.
Who says?
Yeah. And maybe, I'm just thinking out loud, maybe it's could. We could, and having that curiosity with others and thinking, how could we be connected instead of should. Yeah. So maybe we should make that a logo.
Maybe we could.
How could we be connected?
Maybe we could. How can we connect? Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you, Kim, so much for coming and sharing your heart with me about the Hygge gathering and what you have going on with your gatherings that are not events. And I have really enjoyed connecting with you over time as we have encountered each other through putting on these different things, because I feel like we're working towards the same goal.
Yes.
And
you do it on a much bigger scale than I do.
Well, I didn't know I was supposed to be. I should have been limiting myself to 4 people at a time. My bad.
They call Hygge socializing for introverts, and I very much identify with that. And thank you for what you're doing in our community with linking people that are interested. I know this is the food review focus, but really it's the people, the stories behind that. And I love that you see that in individuals, and then you kind of like lift that up and shine a light on it. So thank you for what you do.
Well, you're so welcome. And that reminds me of a quote I saw yesterday. I was at a Taste for Life, which is a mental health fundraiser for the restaurant workers. And it was an Anthony Bourdain quote, because it was in his honor. He took his life after. But he was all about living life to the fullest. Yeah. And so one of the quotes that they shared was, that you just get to know people really well and make these deep connections when you share a meal together. And honestly, from day one, going out to these restaurants and trying these foods and meeting the people who create them has always been about the people for me. It's been about who I'm with or getting to know the people who make it. It's really not about the food for me. Like, I'm kind of a foodie, but I'm more a people-y. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
I love people more than food. So
they say crackers are a vehicle for chicken salad. I think the food is the vehicle for your connection with others and people.
Yeah,
so
it is. Yeah. It totally is. And I don't want the food without the people.
Yes.
I'm like, I could sit at home and like drink a Fresca and go to bed. Yeah. It really is about the people. So thank you for sharing that with us too. And if you are not already, dear listener, we were talking about Bridgerton earlier before this, you should be following the Hygge Gathering on Instagram, and you have an email list where people can sign up on your website.
Correct. So it's www.hyggegathering.com. And you can join our email list. We have, of course, the dinner experience. We have free resources on there about Hygge and gatherings. And actually, we're going to be sharing some more as we go into the holiday season, because we can have many different feelings about that. And maybe this holiday season is a return to togetherness with people maybe you haven't seen in a while, and what that can look like. And so really preparing ourselves first to be able to show up well in those. So go ahead and join me.
I need to learn that from you.
Oh.
Yeah, I really do.
We have so much to learn from each other, I think.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Good.
We could just talk all day. So follow Lou Food Reviews on Instagram and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening. It's on a lot of different platforms. I would love to hear from you where you are listening. So if you're listening to this podcast, if you want to leave me a review there and just let me know your thoughts, I'd really appreciate the feedback. And let me know what you'd like to hear more of as well. Because there are so many people in this Louisville and Kentuckiana community that are making a difference, and I want to find them all. Yes. So let me know, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.